Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to be discussing the travel rules in the Battle for Torrent campaign. There might be a little bit of confusion in this when we start off the campaign, so I just wanted to record this, make sure everyone understood what was going on and the travel rules, make sure there was no confusion, and just make sure we could streamline this process so that we don't have to waste any time reading through the rules beforehand. So for the travel rules, it's broken up into two parts: day travel and night watch. Day travel is when you're traveling during the day, and night watch is when you're taking watches at night and resting in a campsite. First thing you have to do when you're embarking on a journey is you have to define how far you're going to go, what distance, what amount of time. So for example, pretend you were setting off from the town of Dawsberg, which is placed out in front. You see the party at Dawsberg setting off from there. First thing you would do is you would go and you'd select the party, and you'd bring it over to Dawsberg. The next thing you would do is you would plot out what the distance is. So if you're staying to the road, for example, this is the Old Forest Road that leads from Red Ark to Dawsberg. If you go here, it's 20 kilometers to get to this location, and then it's another 48 to get down here. Pretend you were trying to get all the way to Red Ark, and you can see that it takes roughly 96 kilometers to get to Red Ark. Then at this point, the DM would make a determination. Okay, well, this is a road, so it's pretty easy terrain. The road is pretty worn, and some places it's difficult terrain, so I might say that maybe for the forested parts, maybe the road is overgrown. Still, it's not severe. It's not a mountain. It's not a bog or marsh. So I would say, okay, yeah, that's easy terrain. 96 kilometers, so that would take you roughly how many days? Well, if you're doing easy terrain, you move at 5 squares per day, 20 kilometers, so that's going to take you 96 kilometers. That's going to be roughly a 5-day journey. Okay, so 5-day journey, that means the next thing you have to do is you have to determine the amount of rations of water that you have to spend. If it's a 5-day journey, then you have to spend 5 rations and 5 pints of water. Then you would go over to your character sheet. So for example, we're going over to our character sheet now. We go over and we select the party members. We select, oh, here are all the party members. We select the party. And then at this point, I would go over to my inventory and I would spend whatever rations I have. So pretend I had some rations. Pretend I was going over here. Went over to the items section. I go to rations. I throw over some rations. Maybe I throw over a water skin. Pretend I have these items in my backpack. At this point, I would spend 4 rations. I'd spend 4 pints. You see that there's 4 charges here. So I'd bring that charge down to 0 and pretend I had more rations. I would spend those. Then while I would embark on the journey, next thing I need to do is that the DM would either select a danger level. So because it's 4 days, there are 4 chances for this danger level to pop up a event. So this is an 84%, right? The DM would make a determination based on this percentage of to find out if there would be an event along the way. So here are a few sample events. A lingering memory of times long past, the enemy is abroad, a place touched by shadow. If you click on these, you'll get details on them. But essentially, these define specific events that could happen. These are basically prompts for the DM to come up with something cool. I have a whole list of basics of different scenes, of different events that I have played out, and on the Discord channel where you guys have made events, where I've made events, and where a lot of ideas have been proposed, and I would basically use this prompt to create an event on the fly. It'd be pretty easy. Most of the time I would have something prepared already because I'd be crafting an adventure for you guys based on what you would propose in the mission, in the player lobby, where you guys would propose ideas for different adventures. So in this case, I would go here. I would create an adventure. I would create a scene based on this. So a lingering memory of long past. You're basically uncovering an ancient memory, an ancient ruin, or ancient location, or a location of interest for you to go past. This could be pretty mundane. This could be like an ancient bridge that used to be a trading post, or this could be much more extensive. Maybe it's a ruin, or maybe you spot this obelisk that is from a time when the kingdom of Torrent was of a greater, in the golden age of the kingdom of Torrent. That would be what would happen. The danger level also tells us how dangerous that event usually is. So for example, approaching an obelisk, maybe the obelisk is surrounded by fog. maybe the obelisk is glowing with some like crimson red intensity. That'd be something that's really dangerous, or that would look dangerous at least to your characters. You would be able to see it. If there was a less dangerous event, then perhaps it'd be more of a, on a clear, bright, sunny day, you guys stumble across an obelisk filled with roses and daisies, that kind of thing. It's not as dangerous. Another thing I might include is a change in the weather. So every now and again I might hit this weather effects and I might say, okay, the fall weather that we're in right now, maybe it turns into a scorching heat. Today, this particular fall day is just extremely, extremely hot. And on a scorching day, you can see quite clearly that it takes twice as much rations of water. So remember what I said in the beginning, you spent 4 pints of water, right? But if you look at the scorching heat, well, what do we have here? Creatures that attempt to travel during the day, light hours, require twice the rations. So that means you have to spend 4 more rations and 4 more pints. And that travel for 4 or more hours, or engage in heavy activity for 1 or more hours during the day, and do not immediately take a short rest. Undercover must make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw, or gain a level of exhaustion. So basically, it's making travel much harder, making you spend a lot more resources, and it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult for travel. However, there's also this combat modifier as well. All fire damage rolls have a +2. All cold damage rolls have a -2. That's interesting. It might make it interesting for your wizard. It might make it interesting for your bard. Anyone that has fire damage and cold damage. So yeah, that might happen, and this would basically affect us for the rest of the adventure normally. I don't like to constantly change the weather. I like to have the weather constant for one particular adventure. So if it's scorching heat, it's going to be a heat wave that affects us throughout the adventure, throughout the game session. Now, on the other hand, if you go into a dungeon, if you go into like a sheltered woods or something, location, or maybe under a mountain, of course I'm not going to have the scorching heat affect you. This is what the ambient temperature is going to be. The outside temperature. So do keep that in mind. There are ways to avoid this. There are ways to get around this. Next thing you have to consider is that after we do the weather, that would be kind of for one day, and then we'd go down here, I'd hit the travel button, and we do the next day. So we do that again and again and again, 4 times, right? 4 days. We would also have to consider night watch. Night watch is basically when the company is resting at night. Now, in order to add to the danger and tension of this game, to make it much more grimdark, much more of a gritty realism kind of theme, the night watch is going to limit your resting capabilities at night. So here it says that the normal short rest is possible due to current dangers and interruptions. Sometimes this will say not possible. So this will tell you if your party can take a short rest at your current location. So for example, you spend 8 to 10 hours traveling in the day, you arrive 20 kilometers later, and you set up camp. Well, in the location that you set up camp, apparently there are a lot of dangers, there are a lot of elements in the night sky, or maybe creatures that are constantly testing the party's defenses, and you just can't catch a break. You cannot take a normal rest. You're just worn down, tired, and every hour is a struggle at that night. You may choose to risk a night encounter with no night watch to benefit from a short rest if no night watch encounter occurs. This is essentially saying, okay, well, ignoring the danger, I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm gonna rest, and I'm gonna let them test my defenses, and I'm not gonna actively try to keep them away. So then I would click, if you choose to do so, you benefit from a short rest if I don't get an encounter. So for example, there are a few here that would be bad. So here's 3 that would be bad, and 1 that would be good. 1, you're hidden from shadow, so probably something along the lines of you're able to avoid danger. But here, maybe something bad happens. Dark signs and evil portents. Maybe you hear or see something that is dark and sinister. It might affect your ability to rest. So that's an option. There's an in-between option here where you may risk some of the party members can risk taking a night watch, basically standing watch at night, even though other party members are resting. And in that case, the party members that are resting would benefit from a short rest, but the party members that would stay up and basically stay up on watch are exhausted. Now, you might be wondering, hey, okay, well, what if we have 4 party members and they take rotation? Yeah, they do rotations doing night watch, and we have 1 person rest. Well, unfortunately, since you're a man down, you're not going to have as many people doing the night watch. So that means the 4 party members that are on watch are going to become exhausted. Why do I do it this way? Why don't I make it so that 4 people can rest or 5 people can rest? It's just because it makes it simple. It's either an all or nothing deal, and there isn't any rotation or creative, making it so that 6 party members or 6 players jump into the group and you automatically get 2 people that have a short rest every time. This is just to make it simple and to make it so that you can sacrifice an exhaustion level in order to help your other party members get a short rest. And that's basically the travel rules. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you guys have a great one. I can't wait for our next game. Alright, sweet. Have a great one. Bye.